Good afternoon, students. My name is Orgho Ghosh and I am your new physics teacher. I take your physics classes. So, from today, I will discuss about your topic, and after that, syllabus, all syllabuses and topics, and then we'll start a topic. First of all, in your physics subject, there are many chapters in class 11. Look at this book. This is Newton application book, ISC Physics class 11 part 1. But I will discuss the contents. The contents in your syllabuses of class 11 is, first of all, physical world and measurement. This physical world we all read in from class 6. So we will start from units and measurements chapters, error analysis and some significant figures. We will discuss about it. Then dimensional analysis, kinematics, motion in straight line, motion in a plane, and after that laws of motions, Newton's laws of motion, friction and uniform circular motion also. After this topic completed, work, energy and power also be discussed, and motion of the system of particles and rigid body, that means center of mass, rotational motion of a rigid body, moment of inertia, and then I will discuss about the gravitation, planets and satellites also. And extra content in your syllabus for which is in part 2. These are elasticity, properties of the matter, that is elasticity, fluid pressure, flow of liquids and surface tension, and there is also viscosity which not written here. And after that, heat and thermodynamics. In that topic there have some subtopic like thermal properties of matter, heat transfer, thermodynamics and isothermal and adiabatic process, and second law of thermodynamics. So we will discuss from here thermal properties of matter and heat transfer, thermodynamics part 1, that means first law of thermodynamics, 0th law of thermodynamics, then isothermal process, adiabatic process, isobaric process and isochoric process also. And after that I will discuss about the second law of thermodynamics and application of the thermodynamics also. After that, behavior of perfect gases and kinetic theory of gases also be discussed. And last all chapters, the oscillations and waves, that means simple harmonic motion, free, damped and forced oscillation, waves, wave motion, superposition of waves, interference and beats, superposition of waves too, that is stationary wave, standing wave, vibrating wave, vibration of air column, like that, and vibration of the stretched string, and at last Doppler effect. So in our class 11 syllabus there are total 30 chapters. So we will start from the beginning today. That is first chapter, which I will discuss units and measurement and error analysis and significant figures. After that I will discuss about the dimensional analysis and so on. Okay, so let's start from the units and measurements. So for units and measurements chapter, let's start units and measurement. So for units and measurement, at first we have to know about the physical quantity. What is physical quantity? First of all, what is physical quantity? The quantity which we can measure is called physical quantity. That means the quantity which we can measure by measuring instrument of anything, this is called the physical quantity. That means that we can say that for any physical quantity there have a property which we can measure. That means a quantity which have some physical phenomena also, and which we can measure using any instrument or anything, then this is called physical quantity. So for physical quantity we say that the quantity which we can measure is called physical quantity. Example of the physical quantity. Example, can you give me some example of physical quantity? Like length, because height, distance, all are kind of a length. So length is a kind of physical quantity. We can measure the length using the scale, using this tape, measuring tape, like that. Another, mass is a kind of physical quantity, and for mass we can measure using beam balance, we know that. And also now electronic balance also used to measure the mass. Mass, which we call mass, the amount of substance content in a body or object is called mass. So mass is also the physical quantity. Another physical quantity, if I ask about density is also a physical quantity. Every substance or every object have a specific density of itself. So density, and we can measure the density. So density also a kind of a physical quantity. If I ask about the speed is also a kind of physical quantity, because we can measure the speed. If I ask about the acceleration, it is also a kind of physical quantity, because we can measure the acceleration using some formula, using some devices. So physical quantity is a kind of a property which we can measure. These all are physical quantity. And there have another type of quantity, that is called non-physical quantity. What is non-physical quantity? Non-physical quantity means which we cannot be measured by any instrument. These are called non-physical quantity. Can you give me some example of non-physical quantity? Yes, non-physical quantity. What is the definition of non-physical quantity? The quantity which we cannot measure by using any instrument. These are the non-physical quantity. So for any non-physical quantity, we say that these are the non-physical quantity which we cannot be measured by using any instrument. So for example of non-physical quantity, if I give you some example of non-physical quantity, these are like this, that happiness, angerness, feelings, because pain, because this type of quantity like happiness, angerness, sorrow, feelings of anything, any feelings or any kind of pain or knowledge, this quantity we cannot be measured, because we cannot say that I have a very I am very happy. I can say I am very happy for today, but I cannot say how much happy we are, how much pain we have in our hand or in our leg, because we cannot measure this kind of quantity. So for example of non-physical quantity are happiness, angerness, any feelings, or any kind of knowledge, pain, etc. So these are the non-physical quantity. Now for measuring the any quantity, that means measuring any physical quantity, we use another thing that is called unit. Unit is the standard of that measurement. That means what is unit? Unit is the standard of any measurement. And how we define a unit? To measure anything, we consume or we consider any amount or any value which we can easily use this value to measure any physical quantity. So for any kind of unit, we say that when we measure any physical quantity, we use an unit, because using any unit we measure any physical quantity. Without unit we cannot measure or we cannot express any physical quantity. So when we express any physical quantity, we must be expressed with numerical value like 5 kilogram, 10 gram, 5 meter height or 5 meter length, 15 meter distance, or the density of water is 1000 kilogram per meter cube, etc. So for any physical quantity, we must be express any physical quantity with a numerical value and must be express it with a unit. Understand? So for any kind of unit in the standard of the measurement, so for any kind of unit we must note that for any kind of unit we must have some practical size and sustainable size. So for any kind of using any unit, that means meter, decimeter, centimeter, or anything which we use for unit, that must have some practical size and sustainable size. And another thing, it is easily reproducible, that means replicable. That means if we use a unit like kilometer, then it is easily converted into another unit and should not change with respect to time. That means for today the unit of length is meter, and for next day or for tomorrow we use the unit of length as kilometer. It is not possible. So it should not be changed their value or their amount with respect time or with time over. Okay. And another property of unit is must not change under any physical condition. unit must not be changed under any physical condition. That means when we find the density of, for an example, when we find the density of any physical quantity, like when we find the density of any substances, then we cannot express this physical quantity for any time as kilogram per meter cube, and for the next time kilogram per liter. Okay, so every time for any physical condition, every physical condition, that means pressure or any other physical condition, temperature, the earth attraction, like that, every physical condition must not be changed, or must not be changed any physical unit under any physical condition. Okay, and what are these units and basic units? We have to remember we know that we are all passed in ICSC exam, so we all know that for any physical quantity we measure using any unit, and for every physical quantity we use type of kind of units like CGS unit, like MKS unit, SI unit, FPS unit. But today, now we all in our world use a specific unit. This is SI unit. We all know that. Now if we divide the physical quantity, there have some types. That means for physical quantity may be divided into three types, like fundamental quantity, there have some derived quantity, and another quantity are supplementary quantity. We have to know about it after the second class. Okay, thank you.